Oh my. Oh jeepers. Would you look at this, Miss Mittens Alpha? It's circled and underlined. That means it's important. That means today is the day. Finally. Glaganar. Oh, Glaganar. Fetch the cryopod. Okay, let's see here. Password 1. Password 2. What's that, Miss Mittens Alpha? Huh? One more shot before it goes into lockdown for another 2 and or 4 years. Okay, can't make a mistake. Password 69.
Where am I?
Paul, it's been 2 and or 4 years, okay? It's time to get up and get the band back together, okay? And restart the pODDcast.
Wait, 2 and or 4 years? We just did one yesterday.
Well, to you, yes. We did an episode and then Alan Smithy tossed you into cryo sleep.
Well, on the bright side, as long as we have a new president of Earth, space, and beyond, we should be just fine.
About that.
Okay, well, as long as we're past the pandemic and medical science has advanced by leaps and bounds.
Try again.
We don't have to bow to greedy corporations, and we are now a cashless society just as they displayed on Star Trek?
Not quite.
As long as Marvel movies reign supreme and DC movies are still in the gutter.
Can you just get out of the pod, please?
Okay, sure. Wait. What are you getting in?
Straps go. Do me a favor and set the timer for another 2 and or 4 years.
Wait. You can't do this to me. At least move over.
Ooh, scooch.
No. Not face to face. Turn around. Remember, I'm the big spoon.
Just watch your hands.
Don't tell me what to do.
You're not listening? No. How do we start these? What? It's been so long. I'm to my right or left of Paul.
You'd think that, since we did one yesterday in my world, that all that time sleeping, I would remember it like it was yesterday. It's just a fog.
In talking about this whole situation of you coming out of cryosleep, I just want to say that nothing says restart more than acknowledging the universe that came before.
Well, I mean, you have to acknowledge the universe. I mean, you have to acknowledge it, because how else would people know it was a restart? They would think it was something fresh and brand new if we didn't acknowledge everything
exactly,
before.
and nobody wants that.
I mean, it's not like our episode numbering went back to 1.
Did it?
No, it's 141.
Oh.
It's still rolling.
All right, we're still going 141 then.
But it ends with a 1.
It ends with a 1. So that means we're not supposed to talk about Star Wars?
Yes.
Or just not supposed to talk about something?
We're not allowed to talk about something. But you bring up a good point that, our reboot, when we rebooted, we didn't, the last time we went off the air for 2 and or 4 years.
Yeah.
When we came back, we did not talk about Star Wars. This is almost tradition.
Yeah.
Of when we come back from 2
and
or 4 years.
And it's almost at a point to where I almost want to not talk about Star Wars.
I mean, I really, after Book of Boba Fett and Obi-Wan, I want to let sleeping dogs lie for a little bit.
Andor was tough because it wasn't that it wasn't good. It just that it was so dry. I just wish that there was something that's like, oh, please, when they're climbing up this hill, please, like a googly-eyed pterodactyl try to take their walking stick or something. There was like no whimsy in that entire...
Googly-eyed pterodactyl? Are you sure you weren't watching Caveman?
That's what I wanted to have. I'm just saying, no, there was none of that. That's what I wanted to have happen.
You wanted to took in there?
Yes.
Wasn't that his name?
I don't know, but I wanted something like that to happen. Or I was joking that someone should take Forlom and Zuckus and have them like a couple of dumbass bumbling bounty hunters, like Inspector Gadget, where they keep trying to kill Andor, but they fall over each other and mess it up and accidentally shoot themselves in the foot or whatever. Like if I felt like it needed that level of stupidness, I was almost ready for Jar Jar to come back because it was so dry.
Might as well at this point.
And then there was, and so we definitely don't want to talk about that.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, all of me wants to watch season 3 of Mandalorian. All of me wants to see Ahsoka, but it's like I was just so burnt out between those two shows, and busy doing other things like sleeping in a cryopod for a long ass time.
That does take up a lot of time.
It takes up a lot of time, and I do want to see it. Like I want to watch Ahsoka, but then other things come out, and it's like, oh, here's what the Alkalite here. Oh, well, maybe I'll watch it. Oh, never mind, it's canceled.
Yeah,
it's gone. Oh, but we're doing another season of Obi-Wan.
Yeah, but to a certain degree, that's not fair. You don't, when normally in the old days, you didn't know whether, most of the time shows just got canceled anyway.
Right.
You just enjoyed it forever, however long it lasted.
Right.
There was never necessarily a 5-year commitment just because the show exists.
I'm sure Hasbro loved that it got canceled because it's like the toys just hit the shelves and then it's like canceled.
Nobody wanted those toys. There was like, do you want your Lady Shrek Jedi action figure and this other lady Jedi who looks like she's from the Bugaloos or the
spoilers.
Oh, sorry. I mean, the coolest guy on Acolyte was the guy from Squid Game, and he couldn't even speak English before the show happened. He taught himself English because he wanted to be in a Star Wars thing.
Interesting.
And he was the best and most interesting and most dynamic and most emotional character in the whole show.
Interesting.
So I don't know if that's a spoiler or not, but yeah. So so there was that guy, and then the sort of hipster bad guy. And those were like the only two people that people cared about, which is funny because it was supposed to be about the other characters. It's similar with Ahsoka, not to spoil, but it's like. It's supposed
to be season 4 of Rebels.
It's sort of like, it is kind of like Rebels, and I guess if you're a Rebels fan, like Chopper was the best thing in it, and then like the girls in it are so much. There's no male heroes that are worth a damn. Not to make it about girls versus boys or anything.
Are you trying to not say the W word?
But
is it
no, it's not that. It's not that because I'm not even a believer in that. It's like I'm not even a believer in that. I feel like it's if you have a value that you're trying to present forward, if you're trying to put some representation into something, I mean all of those things are good things, but if it comes from a place of just pandering and it's done
checking a box,
and then you're checking a box, but then like insulting the female characters by going, well, they couldn't really hold their own with a decent male character, so we have to have all the male characters completely hobbled, or worthless, or a gay robot or whatever we want to make them, just so that they're somewhat non-threatening. And have them in that environment. I mean, what's interesting, the weird thing about that was similar to Acolyte, where the characters that were the main characters, they were so reverent to the characters that they didn't give them enough humanity, they didn't give them enough humor, they didn't give them enough. They couldn't make mistakes. When you treat a character with so much, we don't want to make them look bad, they become super boring, the best characters in Ahsoka were the bad guys. It was like whenever Thrawn was on, or whenever the bad Jedi, Shin Hati and the other whatever dark Jedi guy. Whenever they were
Punisher.
Whenever
that's the role
that guy
actor
died.
Yeah, he died shortly after.
And he and Shin Hati were when they were like, oh, what are they doing? They're interesting, So yeah, I kind of don't want to talk about either of those shows because one, it's like I wasn't one of those people going, oh, this is woke. This is a waste of my time. Who are these? No, it's like I wanted to.
Oh, bother.
Oh, bother. No, I wanted to. You're doing Winnie the Pooh. I'm doing Droopy.
But I'm doing Winnie the Pooh as
Winnie
Droopy.
the Pooh as Droopy. Okay.
Oh, bother. I'm the giant.
So, the thing is that going over to other franchises, it's like, there are, shows that have female and minority characters that they're just good characters. Like you'd never in a million years go, oh, that's a strong female character. Oh, this is a good, this is some
whatever happened to the days where we just made a good character and it didn't matter what the race or color.
I think the bigger problem is not necessarily in the casting. It's because the problem is that the people are writing the stories don't really care. And they are just checking boxes. If it is someone who's telling a story that has some truth to them and that is representing something, if you don't have any, if you don't have respect for women and people different than yourself in real life, it doesn't matter if you jam 20 characters in there that check that box. It's never going to seem honest. But anyhow, that being said, I really, 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 really wanted to like The Acolyte, even with all the negative things, and especially because all of the negative things people were saying about it, that it was too woke and blah, 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 and it's gay witches and, gays, whatever it is. And I'm like, oh, right, this could be interesting. And then, and I watched it, and it's just so gray and drab. And why are they desaturating everything? Like, what is this thing where everything looks like you're looking at it through a piece of wet newspaper? Like everything is just gray and drab. I don't.
Right, let me write down a note. New episode, Cinema Insomnia. Do not shoot through a wet newspaper.
Circled
and underlined.
Even the Wizard of Oz thing that just came out, Wicked, right? It's supposed to be the Emerald City. They muted all the tones of it because they wanted to seem more grounded, and it's like, why do you ground Oz? What's the purpose of that?
Right.
So
it's like the whole thing with superheroes where we have to make it real life. Yeah. So why are you making Oz real life?
And I think
Oz shouldn't be real life.
I think that's one of the problems with the last few series of the Nameless thing that we're not talking about, is that.
But we have been talking about.
We totally been talking about it. Is that Star Wars started out as something for children. Mm-hmm. And also adventure, and then but when you have a lot of people going, well, we really need a dark, gritty Star Wars for 55-year-olds. Oh, and we also need it to be humorless. Oh, and we also need to have it not be necessarily an adventure story.
Oh, and we also need to sell toys.
We also need to sell toys. I don't understand. The thing is that the original Star Wars, it was for 10-year-olds and the 10-year-old inside of you. And I think that was why The Mandalorian was such a success, is that it was something for the 10-year-old inside of people and for the real 10-year-olds coming up. And, I think even though I went into Skeleton Crew with a bad attitude. I'm like, oh, this looks like Goonies. This is more seriously. Did anyone ask for this? But in watching it, it is the thing that I was talking about earlier. There's a sincerity there. The people who made this love Goonies, love Hook, love Flight of the Navigator.
Is it the same situation of The Mandalorian where like Disney's just like, oh, well, we don't care. You just take this character, do whatever you want. And then it's like, it takes off because the people doing it give a damn. They care about it. And then all of a sudden Disney's like, oh, well, now we have to come in. Oh, this was our idea from the beginning. Yeah. And then they water it down starting season 2, 3, Book of Boba Fett, and so forth. Yeah. Where they just overdo it.
I feel that's it. They put their dirty fingers all over it once it's a success. I think that's right. I think that is the pattern. And so far I've watched 3 episodes of Skeleton Crew. They have Marvel Comics references.
Yes,
strong.
I was going to
Marvel...
ask if you knew about the reference.
Yeah, that was,
I saw. I didn't see. I haven't watched an episode.
I was
but
doing a happy dance when they dropped the Marvel Comics reference, because that's something that I know about and that I grew up with. And in that 3 years between movies, those stories were really important to me.
Right.
And then the holiday special is referenced fairly hard in there too. So, so all of that, made me think, wow, these guys really love that sappy, sweet stuff, that sappier, sweeter, more childlike side of Star Wars and Spielberg. And it had an honesty to it to where I felt like, okay, I don't want to talk about it. Right. No, yeah, so but anyhow, so we're not going to. But
what can we not talk about? Or what can we talk about instead of?
Well, what about Marvel?
I'm done with Marvel too.
You're done with
Marvel
too?
I mean, after Echo and after was it Secret Invasion?
Echo.
No, because my thing with Marvel, the thing that I loved about Marvel, was that they tried really hard to keep those characters at heart and try to be as close to those characters in the comics. And then when you get to Echo and you get to, Disney has this horrible thing of making movies in name only anyway. Where it's like, oh, here's Civil War. Remember that comic? That was a good comic. And it's like, no.
Yeah, no, it's nothing. It's a great movie, but it has nothing to do with the
nowhere near what the comic is. Oh, here's Secret Invasion. Remember Secret Invasion? Nothing. Yeah. Nothing on the level of Secret Invasion.
And then they got sort of a black eye with the CGI, right? They used AI. They used AI.
They used AI for the intro and stuff. Yeah. I mean, I bailed after the first episode. I was like, I don't really care about this.
It didn't look, again, looked drab. It didn't look interesting.
They built it as like, it's supposed to be an espionage kind of movie or series, and I kind of wanted it's like not everything has to be beat 'em up. That's fine. Sure. If you want to make She-Hulk, Ally McBeal or Law and Order, do that, and do that in the universe.
Werewolf by Night was incredible.
Exactly,
and that was not beat 'em up. That was a gothic monster show, and it was great.
But they're like, when we have to make A meet B meet C, and then it has to reference this thing that's going to come out 2 years from now, and then it has to make reference of something that came out 2 years ago.
Yeah,
it has to do, and it's just like I don't care. I'm out.
Yeah,
I just don't care.
Yeah, that's too bad. Anyway, well, I guess if we can't talk about Marvel and we can't talk about DC, maybe. Oh well, wait a second. We could talk about DC. What about Superman?
Oh, the trailer did drop just. Not too terribly long ago.
Not too long ago. Yeah, and I thought it was amazing. So
even though you're listening in the future.
Let's get in the pod. Get back in that pod, Paul. All right, well, we'll do that. Paul and I are going to take a quick hyper sleep, and then we will come back and we'll talk about the Man of Steel.
Mr. Lobo here at Times Square for the Sleepless Knights podcast. We are ready to light up our jumbo scoreboard, and thanks to your monthly support, our total number of patrons comes to... maybe the sign's broken.
Maybe they don't know that you can pledge monthly now. Patrons also get to hear the show a week ahead of everyone else.
People, as you know, the Sleepless Knights podcast hosted by Mr. Lobo of Cinema Insomnia and that pantsless producer over here, Paul Sanders of Bestow TV, is weird, fun, experimental, obtuse, and thought-provoking. If quality programs mean something to each of you, and you enjoy being a fly on the wall for our 3 a.m. conversations, please support the show monthly on Patreon. Take out your phones right now. Patreon.com/Sleepless Knights Podcast. Now that's only one D in podcast, even though we still emphasize the odd.
Hey, where's everyone going?
They're all going home to sign up with us on Patreon.
Yeah, sure.
So, a lot of franchises, a lot of fatigues. Paul's very fatigued. He's through with Star Wars. He's through with Marvel. A lot of folks are feeling
I'm
that.
through with that hyper chamber. It's actually kind of really musty in there. There's a lot of toots in that were left in there.
Yeah,
and
it just smells like feet and ass and top ramen.
I don't understand why I don't eat top ramen.
Yeah, that's
why
the
would I
weird
eat top
part.
ramen if I was asleep?
Yeah, I don't know. That's the weird part. But it is one of those things. I think that people have this. I try to talk to. I was like, because I watch everything still. I tried to anyway, and I've been watching all the Star Wars shows. And there's a lot of people who are my age and older and younger who just don't have any interest in it.
It's well, one of the levels too is that, and this is the same with Marvel, where it just kind of gets to the point where I don't have time to dedicate to 9+ episodes, plus 9 episodes of the next show, plus 9 episodes, plus 4 movies, plus, and everything has to count. So it all, you know, 15-year-old me would have been over the moon about all that stuff being interconnected and stuff. And now we're like, what, 20 years into the Marvel stuff, and more than 20 years into Star Wars stuff, and it's just like, I just don't have. I'd rather just pick and choose now. I don't really. It's exhausting to try to keep up with.
It's exhausting because there's a lot that I've missed, and when it's not really, and it gets to the point where, and I don't want to say we're spoiled, but if it gets to the point it doesn't tickle your fancy right
Good
off
luck.
the bat, you're like, okay, well, I'm gonna bail, because like Agatha All Along, I still haven't gone back to, and you know, I understand what they were doing. Like the WandaVision imitated a bunch of TV shows, and Agatha All Along does that to a degree too, but they're imitating a bunch of shows I don't like. So it doesn't quite work the same.
Who watched
for me.
Matlock? Yeah.
Yeah, right.
That's for old people.
So, you know, I mean, it was okay, but it also does seem like it panders a lot, and it's definitely trying to be. And again, I think that there needs to be shows that celebrate women and celebrate diversity, and certainly celebrate different walks of life and different lifestyles, and different orientations. All those things are things that can be celebrated, but it does
Just do it.
when it seems like it's cartoonish and somewhat insincere. I don't know why the people.
I don't know why they have to put it on blast or put it on broadcast.
And I feel like the people who should be getting offended are the people who it's for, because if they really looked at it, they would go, "Wow, this is really insincere. They're just trying to pick our pockets." I don't know, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's totally sincere, just badly done.
I don't know. I mean, they do make the gay pride Frosted Flakes, so. Is that only? Are you only allowed to eat that if you're gay, or what's the thought? I mean, isn't that the same? Isn't that similar?
I don't.
You think that's similar?
Is it like the gay pride Frosted Flakes as far as pandering?
Yes.
I don't know if we have to have a special gay formulation of Frosted Flakes.
It's just that they need a boost in their pay, and that's all it is. It's just boosting profits. Well, if we say that this is for gay pride, then we'll make 25% more this quarter. Yeah. And that's all it is. And I'm sure that's the same with the movies.
They're gay.
No.
Anyway, no, you don't like that?
Nah.
Don't like that.
Nah.
All right, fine.
You know he has a spoon in it for his nose, right?
I know that. Stop pointing that out.
Big spoon.
I have the Spanish language Frosted Flakes in here, Zucaritas.
Antonio El Tigre.
Yes, Antonio El Tigre.
Le Tigre.
Which is not what it is at all.
Le Tigre.
But that is what, boy, this has been like the most like bitchy, like culturally insensitive, what is it? Women hating return of the Sleepless Knights podcast.
But at least with like that Tony the Tiger, that's an imported item. That's not something that Kellogg just want to.
No,
we want to pair.
It's
we
made.
want to make this for Latinos in America.
No, it's made in Mexico. The product is made in Mexico.
Did I say that right? By the way,
what, Latinos?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's fine.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I think it's the thing is that like, and then the question I have to ask myself, is it cultural appropriation if I go to the Mexican grocery store and buy it because I think it's cool?
And what does it mean if I go over there and buy it and it's cool?
I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, I
or
feel
if I just buy it because I'm hungry.
I feel like I think that's the thing too, is that I feel like culture shouldn't be gatekept. I think culture should be shared. I think it's one of those things that can break down the barrier of racism or bigotry or prejudice. If it's like, wow, I love this thing that you do, or this language is beautiful, or this thing is cool. So, so I feel like there is something to be done about that. And we're in a really weird place where America is very divided and very and I think that's the thing, is that a lot of the entertainment now divides us more, and it's like, we're different and we're only safe with these people who are just exactly like us and think the way that we do. And we're different and we're only safe with these people who are just like us.
If you're into Star Wars, you're only into Star Wars. You can't be into Star Trek. Meanwhile, the Lord of the Ring people are going, hey, what about us?
Yeah. So, I think that, fans, if you want to, and boy, who has more hate than fans? Nobody does.
Boy, I want to hit on that when we actually get into our topic.
So, Superman, I think, is a perfect example of that. Superman has been through a lot of phases, and a lot of the factions of fans don't like each other. Certainly, there's a whole supposed, sometimes I think it's imagined, but a whole cult of Snyder fans who are aggressively boycotting any other anything that doesn't further the Snyderverse. Which the Snyderverse, I think, is, I don't think even Zack Snyder wants to do the Snyderverse anymore.
That's gone. And those weren't even epics. I mean, I feel like that was more studio meddling, where we can't have just Superman. We have to have Wonder Woman and Lex Luthor and Batman and Doomsday. And it's just like, just make it about Superman.
Yeah, and they didn't want to fully...
They didn't want to commit to the Marvel formula, too.
No. They were in too much of a hurry to get to their Avengers too, and I think that, Batman was so popular that they just tried to template Superman as another Batman.
What was annoying was Man of Steel came out, and then there was supposed to be a Man of Steel 2, and then there was supposed to be a Batman solo movie, and then there was supposed to be a Batman 2, and then there was supposed to be a Batman v Superman. And at some point it was like, skip all that. Let's just go to Batman v Superman. We haven't even established who Batman is in our universe. We're just going to go right to that.
Yeah, and then they went to Justice League.
Yes.
And
because then they did Justice League, and then like Wonder Woman and Aquaman and stuff came out after.
Yeah. I mean, and honestly, like Wonder Woman is the best thing. Speaking of like female superheroes, Wonder Woman is the best thing in Batman versus Superman. I'll be hard pressed to find anyone who would disagree with that statement.
She doesn't belong there, but she is the best thing.
She doesn't belong there, but she's the best thing in that movie. And I think that's a successful reinterpretation of a character.
That's now out the window.
Yes.
It's gone.
And I think that, all those people who said that Superman couldn't work, truth, justice, and the American way, and all the things that Superman is supposed to be about, that kind of character wouldn't work, somehow ignored the fact that Captain America worked flawlessly. So it is really interesting to me that, we have a person, somehow the person who started with the most like crass and negative DC characters somehow had more sunshine in his heart than anyone else that was working on DC stuff, which is somewhat ironic. But James Gunn, of course, is now doing this Superman movie that is very anticipated and is a much more optimistic version of the character. And of course, this is what we're talking about.
And everybody came out in droves. I hated those Guardians of the Galaxy, the movies. Since the beginning, they're the worst part of Marvel, and I think Guardians of the Galaxy are the best part of the Marvel.
Wow, who said? Now, see,
the random Facebook trolls.
Different people than I do.
I think it. What I think it is. Well, there's two things that I think it is. The first thing is that I kind of go through that stuff to kind of come up with commentary of what we can reflect on when we talk about stuff on the podcast.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, well, here's like. We didn't get to this part yet, but here's the number one thing of everybody hates Guy Gardner's wig. Oh my God. Hashtag not my Superman. Guy Gardner sucks.
Yeah.
And I think because I'm looking for that stuff to get entertainment, get something, get something for us to talk about, get subject matter, the algorithm just picks that out. I'm like, oh, well, this is what you like. Well, here's a bunch of that stuff. And the other thing is I've noticed recently it's going like I doom scroll all the damn time on Facebook. I rarely ever post anything ever or talk to anybody on Facebook, but I do spend a sickening amount of time like just scrolling, reset, scroll, reset, scroll. And I've noticed lately such and such group join, and it's just here's shitty stuff about Superman. Such and such join. Here's shitty stuff about the current situation.
Yeah.
Such and such join. Here's cats. And they're always targeted ads for groups.
Yeah.
For things that I would never go to.
Yeah.
And they are there more frequently than anything my friends or you or anybody will ever post. I always see this stuff, and I will constantly turn that off. I don't want this. I'm done with this, because it's like. So, like, I kind of did this with, like, Beetlejuice and a lot of the other stuff where I just avoided the trailers.
Yeah.
And when
when you're serious about that, you'll block someone if they spoil it.
I block Aaron.
Yes, I know. Aaron is the worst, though.
Aaron is the worst spoiler.
Aaron is the worst spoiler because, like, even with the trailer, he spoiled the trailer because I wasn't even going to say anything about crypto or anything because I wanted Dixie to watch the trailer. And I'm like, Dixie, I think you're really going to like the trailer if you give it a shot. So I'm not going to tell you anything about it. Just, when you have a minute today, just watch it. And, crypto.
You're like, block. This isn't working in real life.
So it's like, yeah, Aaron, I was kind of hoping that she could have the surprise of not knowing that crypto was going to be.
He gets super excited about it. I don't think he reads it.
No, he doesn't mean it well. We love you, Aaron, but
we
yes,
do.
We do. I don't think.
Facebook. People say a lot of stuff where it's like, why would you block your friends on Facebook or family? And it's like because Facebook isn't a representative of my real friends and family. I can talk to Aaron at any damn time. It doesn't. Facebook doesn't matter.
Yes.
I don't remember where we were going. We went on this whole side.
You were talking
I had said about with Beetlejuice, where I just avoided all the I avoided all the trailers. I avoided pretty much the only time I ever saw the trailers when I went to go see a movie and the trailer was in front of it. And then I basically watched Beetlejuice, and then afterwards I went and I looked at it on Facebook, or I went and watched Red Letter Media. Red Eye is a different company. But yeah, I'd watch their reviews. So I'd frequently stay away from that stuff. And Superman's pretty much been on blast ever since the promo pics, ever since the cast. You're always seeing stuff about casting, and as soon as something's posted,
James Gunn is amazing. By the way,
yes.
He is the most socially interactive director I've ever seen on the internet.
How do we get him to work on our stuff? It's like no. But so it becomes really, and Superman is a pretty hot, that's an up there kind of thing. It's kind of a hard thing to avoid. But my God, that trailer came out, and it's they've been hyping that for the last 20 days that this trailer was coming on this day. You better watch it. And I was kind of going to avoid it, but already on my end, crypto was already spoiled. It was crypto right in the thing, and I'm like, I kind of would have, it's it's not that big of a spoiler, but it's I would have liked to discover that. And when I said it to you, I had ended at crypto. I didn't even watch the rest of it because I had to go do other work. And when I came back, I was like, Guy Gardner? Hot girl? Like, and it's stupid because I knew this because of the casting, but this is the first time you're seeing them in the uniforms. It's, Metallo? Or not Metallo.
Or
Metamorpho? Yeah. Oh my. A dragon?
Wow. A dragon? Okay. Kaiju? Whatever.
And then it's like an hour later. Not my Superman. Oh, yeah, well, crypto should be a pit bull, not a blah, blah, blah. Oh, no, hashtag not my Superman. Oh, well, this isn't Henry Cavill. Oh, not my. And it's just like, and it's just nonstop. And it's like, again, like I kind of brought that upon myself when I'm trying to get us content. Yeah, well, but then the other thing is like, this is just now in my face because now I got my content. I got what I want. Yeah. And it's just always in my face now, no matter what.
Well, and I think there's a couple of things. I think one, people love to be contrarian, you know? And if something immediately comes out and it has everyone's attention, the only way to say something other than I like that too, or that was cool, is to crap on it.
Yes.
Is to just immediately go, well, that thing you like is dumb because.
Who can shit on it the hardest.
Yeah. You know, and you know, as a person with a stupid haircut, I do take offense to people's comments about Guy Gardner. But honestly, I think you're not supposed to really like Guy Gardner. So I think it works for him
one of the
really
one of the guys that actually used to do the artwork for Guy Gardner commented about your fake wig. So we kind of got that going for us, right?
Oh, that's right. That's right. That's right. Neil Adams said that he thought I was wearing a wig.
And I guess Neil Adams would know Guy Gardner, right?
He would know. He knows all the Lantern cores, and he also knows which freckle I am compared to what color brown.
What Pantone you are.
What Pantone color I am. Do I have a brown ring that has powers? I don't know. Anyway, so I guess when we come back, we're going to dive, or fly or dive deeper into.
I don't know. I wish I wasn't thinking about your brown ring right now.
Can we just get back in the pod?
To our Sleepless Knights podcast listeners on Spotify, now we have a subscription service.
Oh, wow.
What does that subscription get you? Glad you asked. It gives you the weekly notification of the standard show when it's released, but also access to our members only Segment 5 that drops a few days after.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
Yes, for pennies a day, support your favorite weekly show financially to help us with the necessities like eggs, bread, horse and milking, or in Paul's case, that endless supply of Grandpa Nana's corn chips. Another tasty thing you can do to help with your favorite show, now that you've listened to us on Spotify, on the app, you can rate this podcast. That's right, give us a glowing review to help new people find this show and make it their favorite show, who will rate the show and help new people find this show to make it their favorite show, who will make it, well, you get the idea. It's the circle of Spotify life, right, Paul?
What's this now?
So not speaking of Star Wars.
Or your brown ring.
Or my brown ring. We have, through darkest day and blackest night. All right. So anyhow, so the trailer drops. It's interesting because it has a very minimalist version of the John Williams music. Like, if you are like Paul, you're a music person.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, I feel like you could do a Name That Tune in 2 notes with that. But I feel like probably even less. but I think the general public, I think a lot of people, new people, don't recognize it as the John Williams theme.
Oh yeah.
And it really interesting because it's not bombastic and so staccato like it is. It's
a metal, like it's guitar heavy, so it's more like a metal or a rock version.
Well, the beginning of it is more, yes. But I think that there is kind of like what can we take out of this and have it still have that? And it's sort of like a, what do you call it, reductive sort of version of it, to where it's the absolute minimum presence of that theme and it still be that theme. So that was kind of an interesting approach to. You had a comment about about that.
Yes, as a matter of fact, because we kind of make the joke in the beginning that calls back to this, where You know, it's funny where you go through the rabbit hole of hashtag not my Superman. This is not Cavell. This is too much Christopher Reeves. I almost said Christopher Lloyd.
Yeah.
This is too much Christopher Reeves.
It's a science experiment.
Can we just I'm Christopher
Cavill.
No, all right.
Yeah, not Cavell.
Yeah.
Is it Cavill?
Is it Cavell? It's
I
Cavill.
think it's Cavill.
Calverine. It's Calverine when he was Wolverine, isn't it?
Calverine.
Calverine.
Yeah.
Henry Cavill.
Yeah.
Cavill.
Why do you say Cavill? There's no
know.
A in it. Cavill.
Yes, there's an A, isn't there?
There's an A in the front, but not an A in the back. It's not Henry Cavill.
Well, isn't the
It's
A?
Henry
The
Cavill.
A always belongs in the back. You don't usually have your A in the front. Anyway,
You're an a-hole.
so a lot of people were like, "This is a restart. Oh, we need to get away from Christopher Reeves.
Yeah.
Why is this? Why are you going back to this Christopher Reeves? He looks too much like this. He needs to be big and buff like the Henry dude."
Yeah.
And then the same comment is like, "But that soundtrack is really bitching." It's like, well, the music. I mean, I kind of side with it too. It's like if it's a restart, it really should be a clean break.
Yeah.
But they did that with the Snyderverse too, where they brought back the Batman theme. They brought back the Superman
was
theme.
it in the Justice League they had the Batman and the Superman?
I believe
theme?
so. Yeah. Or
But then they didn't have it anywhere else.
Yeah. Yeah. But they do that quite frequently, and in an aspect where it should be a restart, that it shouldn't really lean on anything before. They still kind of do that nostalgia tap, I guess. Is that considered it was not a pin drop, but a
What?
when they the
Needle drop?
needle drop?
I
Is
mean,
that considered a needle drop? Is
would
that geek needle drop?
I wouldn't say if it's a re-recording. I wouldn't say that it is per se, right?
Right. Because usually a needle drop is like pop music, whatever was popular.
Oh, yeah, and it's usually like a complete cut of music that they're just using. It's not like made for the movie. But yeah, that's needle drop. But I think what's interesting about that, and again, there's the music and there's the suit, the Superman suit.
Underwear back on the outside.
Underwear on the outside. Love it.
That pisses a lot of people off.
It does bother people
Why?
so much. I don't know
cares?
why. It doesn't matter. And the rationale's so great. Like in Wolverine, he's wearing the yellow suit, and it's like, oh, and there's some people who didn't like that he was in the yellow suit, whatever.
And he had sleeves.
And once he says, the reason why he wears it, it's like, oh wow, yeah, that's great. And then you completely, if you hadn't accepted it yet, that was enough to accept that outfit. And with this Superman, the idea that I'm not wearing this so I look cool. I want kids to like me.
Right.
I want children to not be afraid of me. So I like that idea of the reason for doing it is because he is supposed to be. He's made himself a cartoon character for children because he wants to protect children and be on their side.
Right.
I think that's a great reason.
Right. And I mean, you said this before, whether it was on the podcast or not, but it's like, you're in the universe with those characters. Them being dressed, however, Spider-Man being dressed the way he is, or Iron Man, or any of them, it doesn't really matter. That's the way it is in their universe. Go all out. This whole thing when they go and they make the movies and it's like, well, it has to be real world. It has to be something that would be real world. And it's like, well, why? Why does it have to be real world? Just go for it.
Right. If you can already shoot lasers out of your eyes, how much real world is left?
How much weirder is it going to get? Oh,
Yeah.
no, now he's wearing a weird colored spandex. Who cares?
Yeah. So yeah, I always think that the joke I've always said, I've said it on the podcast several times, like if I could throw a car, I would buy a cape the same day. People never count on flamboyance. And if you think about the most powerful public figures like sports stars and rock stars and wrestlers, they dress crazy.
Mm-hmm. Wasn't it James Gunn that said that he pretty much considered it that he's already at this level that he just dresses like a wrestler because wrestlers just dress that way.
Yeah.
So if a wrestler dresses that way, why wouldn't Superman? I perceive that he was talking about Superman and not another character.
And wrestlers are supposed to be
Bigger than
a
life.
symbol, bigger than life, appealing to children, all of that. So I feel like that is definitely on point with Superman. And
You know what? Santa Claus wears too much red. We need to tone that down.
Yeah, can we put him in a gray leather with black fur? So
No, cut the fur. No fur.
That's
Nah,
too
that's
gay.
okay.
No fur.
No fur.
So-
Or not gay enough. Whichever.
But what the other thing about it is that the suit is a combination of different eras of Superman. So you are seeing a little bit of I don't kind of see a little George Reeves in that.
Because isn't the S more George Reeves?
Well, the S is
S
like
design?
the Kingdom Come, which is I don't know.
Oh, that's because this is what the storyline's supposed to be more from. That
so
makes sense.
the S is.
But I think
but I would say the sort of more where it's a more bulky top and not necessarily cut to his muscles. That's more George Reeves, I would say.
But I think when Alex Ross drew Kingdom Come, I think he based that Superman
On George
off of
Reeves,
George
that
Reeves.
makes sense.
And
Yeah,
that might be why the S is that
an
way.
older Superman. And then
because
and
that
then
might be an Earth 2
And then
Superman,
was that
too.
90s where he's got the little kind of like spaceman spiff kind of collar there on his, the little narrow collar. It's not an open neck. He's got like a little collar.
Sure.
All right. I think there are various notes from different suits, and it kind of is Guardians-esque too. Like I feel like looking at the seams and the stitching on it, and it's even though it's colorful, it's somewhat, I wouldn't say militaristic, but futuristic. I feel like that's sort of almost like how the Guardians outfits are,
Right.
and those work where
Right. Well, the Guardians outfits were really close to what they were in the comics, and then they still cross the line of where they're more practical, where they're more leather, they're not spandex.
Yeah, and I feel like this is similar to where it's like, okay, we've got the iconography and we've got the color. We're gonna do different fabrics, different whatever, I
mean, what do you feel like now? A lot of the comments I said is like, well, this looks too much like a cosplayer, what a cosplayer would do. And I'm like, damn, like I know a lot of cosplayers that would freaking put what Hollywood does to shame.
Yeah,
I mean, I'd rather a cosplayer design that costume than anything else, but everybody wants to use that as an insult.
That's the thing, is that's not an insult, because really, like, the whole point of at least the goal of cosplayer is to imitate the actual character in every aspect, where you are living in real life looking like the character looks. So I don't necessarily think that is an insult, saying that he looks like a cosplayer, because the cosplayer wants to look like Superman.
Right.
And you're supposed to see that cosplayer and not think anything but, crap, Superman's here.
Mm-hmm.
And when you see him in this movie, he's Superman in the trailer, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
And
you look at side by sides between him and Clark Kent, and you're like,
you would not guess that was the same dude.
They cast two actors.
Yeah,
yeah.
And I love the fact.
And I think that I feel like and I don't know if it's the shots that I look at.
Yeah.
I feel like when he's in his Superman mode, it looks like he like juts out his jaw a little bit more.
Yeah,
He stands taller.
yeah. No, it definitely he looks.
His hair is a little bit more kept.
He's slouched. He does seem softer somehow. And then of course, and not to, again, we're already just culturally insensitive, but he's got kind of the Jew fro, where he's got the real curly, more ethnic almost hair.
Is that to the roots of the creators?
Maybe to the roots of the
were...
creators, where he but when he slicks it back, that one little, he's got curly hair, so he's trying to make himself seem more Anglo or whatever, but he has some ethnicity to him, because he's got his natural state of his hair is that curliness.
He keeps the Superman curl.
But that one curl, he can't tame that one curl.
We've all been there. He's got super hair.
He's got the super cowlick.
He's got the Superman hair that can hold up a wrecking ball.
Yeah,
but can somehow be cut by just a pair of clippers.
Are they hedge clippers?
Is it Superman 4? Wasn't it, where they came in? They just came in with bolt cutters. And they just cut it with bolt cutters.
Bolt cutters, yeah. So maybe they were kryptonite bolt cutters.
Maybe.
So
deleted scene.
So so already in the beginning of this trailer, we established Superman in his iconic outfit with the shorts.
On the outside.
On the outside where they belong.
Mm-hmm.
Red and blue, not dark, not gray, not blackish blue and grayish red. and then he is. We see him being defeated by something.
Yes.
He's definitely in bad condition.
Looking back at like how like trailers are cut and that opening sequence when they're cutting to his raspy breathing,
Yeah.
and it's like, and it's
Yeah.
cut,
Yeah.
and it's like, crap, that gives me chills.
Yeah,
'cause
no.
it's like they're cutting this trailer to him breathing, and it's like, what the hell? Who decked Superman?
Yeah, and you're imagining that he is remembering or thinking back or thinking of home, right, where he wants to go, or getting
Or who
back,
can save him.
or who can save him, or how to fix this, what the situation that put him here. So yeah, you are totally invested right away with that, and I think that. The other thing, I did want to say something else before we got to crypto, but he's laying there on his side and he puts out that whistle, and then there's this snowstorm, and then suddenly there's Super Dog there with him too.
It's like I'm smiling so hard the top of my head's about to fall
gosh,
off every
yeah.
single time, replaying
Yeah.
that, and it's like, oh.
And he's like, home, take me home. And this, I think this is the thing that I wanted to say, which I finally remembered because crypto reminds me of this, is because this is the whole point of that beginning, is that he says to crypto, home, take me home. And crypto takes his cape and drags him off. Now, Superman in that state, the way that he's battered, now when I saw that, I thought, this is the franchise. This is what's happened to Superman. He's tarnished, he's beaten. Can we go back to that Boy Scout? Can we go back to that optimism? Can we go back to that niceness? You know what I mean? And what's interesting is I thought it was a symbol of the franchise and a symbol of the character. But in talking to James Gunn, that's America. That he's the state of America. He's our symbol, and that's where we're laying in that crater, trying to remember how to be nice to each other. So anyhow, we'll go out on that, and we'll come back. But I think that that was a pretty interesting thing to think about. Ladies and gentlemen, have your attention. In this envelope, I have a list of our current Patreon sponsors. Yep, there they all are. Thank you. What? I'm supposed to read them out loud? Okay. These current Uber fans' names are to be read out loud. John McCallum. John? John, are you here? Present? No? Okay. Cosmac. Cosmac? All right. Not here. Kelly DeMall, you here? Kelly? All right. Anita Rivnik. Honey, you here? Did your mom drop you off? No? Okay. Metap? Metap. Matap? Meat tap. Matap? All right. I'll defer to your pronunciation. Michael Housel. Michael Housel going once? Twice? Okay, Michael's not here either. All right, then. And we also have our current super fans, who I also have a list of, but I know you're not here, so I'm not going to say them out loud. Last chance to upgrade your Uber fan to super fan tier before December 1st. What? That's outdated. What? It says December 1st, not a year. How do I know that it's old? And why all the fake whispering? You're creeping me out. There is a line that keeps getting circulated with this, whereas being kind in a world where kindness seems old-fashioned. I think that is a message that resonates with a lot of people right now. I think constantly people are like, things are going to be rough for a while. We got to be kind to each other. You know, I feel like a lot of people feel that. We do, like in the opening of this show, we are kowtowing to a bunch of billionaires that are screwing everything up. So I feel like that really resonates too. And how does that kindness overcome that avarice, that greed, that power lust, that cruelty? That's going to be interesting to see how James Gunn takes this on, because James Gunn's a hell of a writer. And looking at Peacemaker and looking at even Suicide Squad and his other works, there always seems to be a bit of a point or message or, they're going to call it woke, I'm sure, when it comes out. But Superman was always woke. A couple of Jewish kids created this character, and a couple of Jewish kids that were screwed over by a big corporation.
By that corporation that's putting out that exact movie.
Yeah. So
what was it, $200? $200 in a handshake, and that he was living. One of them was like living in squander.
Yeah,
I believe there's an interview with Neil Adams somewhere. It might have been with Kevin Smith.
Schuster, Seidl and Schuster.
Yeah, where he was talking about because Neil Adams helped get funds,
get funds
because he was just living in shambles. And he's like, he made $200 off of Superman, and he's living in squalor.
Yeah.
While like DC was just raking in the cash.
Yeah. I mean, that is their primary character. That is the most defining character of the DC universe. Even Batman fans, I think, would have a hard time arguing that Superman isn't the most defining DC hero.
It's kind of like, do you ever like look over? I mean, you've probably done this at least passively, where like, everybody's like how Marvel, those characters integrate really well, but they were pretty much created by basically one person.
Yeah.
And they were all integrated. And then you compare that to DC, and if you go and you look through DC, and it's like all those characters except for Batman, they bought.
Yeah.
Everything was bought. Like Wonder Woman was not theirs originally.
Yeah.
Flash wasn't
Captain
theirs.
Marvel.
They all were like eventually bought. I mean, didn't they sue Captain Marvel and then eventually just bought them? Yeah. It's like,
yeah.
I mean, this is the same company that had the copyright to Happy Birthday, and none of us were allowed to sing that song.
Boy, God. Yeah, that's the thing.
And this company's basically gone now.
What?
Warner Brothers is pretty much gone. I mean, it's all Discovery now.
Right.
I mean, that guard's pretty much gone.
Yeah, you're right. They're it's just a name. It's just a nameplate. Right?
It's just a brand. It's
IP. IP that someone else has bought and sold, which I guess is what they deserve since they bought and sold so many others.
I mean, even down to Peacemaker. That's not
Charlton.
That's somebody else's.
Yeah. I think we had a whole breakdown of the Charlton Comics characters.
Yeah, we did that on the stream.
Yeah, and who they're represented. But the Watchmen are all Charlton characters. And again, at least with the Charlton characters, they were protective enough of them when Alan Moore wrote Watchmen. They went, you can't do that you can't do that to these guys. Make up a bunch of guys who are almost the same.
Well, they're probably looking at, as you destroy these guys, we run out of the ability to make more money off them in the future.
So I think it's interesting that, the real superheroes, the name brand superheroes, had become as dark as the Watchmen. And it's like, well, where do you go from there? If the parody, if the real thing becomes worse than the parody, then what's the parody about? What's the satire for? So that was something that I always thought was somewhat negative about how dark the DC universe was getting, is that it almost like the Watchmen almost prophesized how dark our superheroes would become in reality, not like a distortion of it or a commentary of it, but actually be that dark.
So I had mentioned about Neil Adams.
Yeah.
And during our interview with Neil Adams, he had said something that kind of resonated with me after watching this trailer, where he said about like when you and him were talking about, and I think it made it into the final cut where you guys were talking about Green Lantern and how he's like, oh well, like Hal Jordan was the bad choice for DC to do Hal Jordan as the main character in a movie, when the past 10 or so years it was Jon Stewart.
Right.
That Jon Stewart was in all the cartoons and all the animated series. Hal Jordan, even when the comic book came out, I think had already been disgraced and he might have already been the Spectre at that time. And
I mean, when the movie came out.
When the movie came out,
Hal Jordan's character was not the forefront.
Hal Jordan's character was not in the comic book anymore. I think it might have even been Simon Baz at that time, which is a totally different character. And it kind of resonated with me because, he was saying basically what Warner Brothers was doing, or what they were ignoring, was all these years of basic passive advertising to a future generation. Kids grew up with Jon Stewart. So when a Green Lantern movie comes out and it's Hal Jordan, it's like, who's this? Who's this exactly? And I kind of felt that way when it came to Crypto. Because my kids grew up watching Crypto and the Super Pets. They were watching, Streaky. They were reading the comics. They have artwork from Franco of all their favorite animal characters from all that show. Even all the way up to, 5 years ago, they had that animated movie that was all Crypto and everything. And I feel like
CG movie,
the CG,
CG animated movie,
And I feel like they're almost doing that because the same thing, where it's like now my kids are old enough to buy a movie ticket, and when they see Crypto in that, they're like, that's sold,
right.
It's because I've watched all the cartoons, I've read all those comics, even if that's the only part that he has in that entire movie, just him being in that trailer, I believe is enough to sell a ticket.
I think that whenever, especially too, if nostalgia is part of the mix, or not necessarily just nostalgia, but tradition or appealing to that child in us, I think there is a certain amount of recognition of, oh wow, oh God, we're finally going here. Oh, I love this. And with what I'd seen, it was great to see. One, it was just great to see Superman and Clark Kent, and it was great to see Lois, and it was great to see Luthor and a new version of Luthor that seems like Luthor. And then
though it's not LexCorp, it's LuthorCorp now.
It's LuthorCorp,
and I think somewhere in the comments, I think it said because the Smallville TV series, I believe it was LuthorCorp.
Oh,
so they're actually pulling from the TV series, the old TV series. And I say as it came out in the early 2000s.
And then characters that I know, and but they weren't favorite characters, but you almost reward yourself for knowing them. Like, oh, okay, that's Metamorpho.
I know Guy Gardner. I've never read a damn book with Guy Gardner, but I know Guy Gardner. And the Guy Gardner I know comes from Superman comics. He was always the drunk at the bar talking about his pal Superman.
The only Guy Gardner I know is I think I had a few issues of Justice League International, and he was just a prick.
Yeah. See, I think my introduction to him would be the death of Superman, and he's pretty much giving a eulogy to his buddy, his fallen buddy.
So I've seen him peripherally, and he did have a stupid haircut.
Yes. Oh my God.
And again, this is the thing that's really funny, is that you have this thing that's making people cry. You have this trailer that is just hitting so many perfect notes with everything that it's doing, like Superman protecting that little girl as those tanks come flying, and then the thing that just people would just like. Unrelenting. Oh, stupid hair. Oh my God.
My Superman.
They really did Green Lantern dirty.
I mean, it's funny. It's like, what is it? Within an hour, I sent you the festive thing, and then 2 hours later, I want to rescind this. I'm sorry about it. It was funny when I saw it an hour ago. It's not funny when there's 20,000 comments later.
Yeah, exactly.
It really lost its luster.
And the thing is that obviously the guy's not a nice guy. You can tell in those 5 seconds you see him that he's an ass.
Yeah.
And
even out of context of whatever's happening.
Yeah. So it does seem like and again I don't know what is happening there, right? Where there's so much stuff going on in this movie that we don't I guess we don't want to accidentally spoil.
I was going to say you would mention about how do we go around spoilers in the episode. Can we maybe save the spoilers for segment 5?
We could do that because these are what's weird about
that way. If you know, if you don't want to be spoiled, you still listen. You get to listen to the episode.
That's what's really weird about these spoilers, because most of these spoilers aren't based on fan theories. They aren't based on some jackass in YouTube circling and rewinding a bunch of scenes from this and breaking it down. Mm-hmm. They're not even based on me being a particular fan of the stories in the comics, where I'm identifying a story that I had read. Just the little bit that I know about these characters. And just watching the trailer 1,000 times, I have all these ideas of what
You've already watched it 1,000 times, and I didn't even get past crypto. And you're like, the trailer's only 3 minutes long. How did you not get past crypto? I've already watched this 1,000 times. I'm sorry.
I mean, again, I was in tears in my eyes, and I couldn't stop myself from rewatching it over and over again and trying to break some of it down, because, again, you're seeing all of these metahumans. And some of them we know, like Hawkgirl and Guy Gardner, but there are some, and Mr. Terrific I was peripherally aware of too.
I'm aware of him because of cosplayers. That's that's my only association. Yeah. And I think he's appeared in some Justice League.
He's just the guy with the T on his face,
yes.
And that's and unfortunately
some floating orbs.
That's the most I know about Mr. Terrific. I know that he's not super into himself, that he has these orbs that technologically make him super. Mm-hmm. That's the only thing I know about Mr. Terrific. So again, I guess we'll save the spoilers for the future.
Segment
but basically we are. The point is that I guess what the point is. What is the point? It's Superman. The Superman, and this isn't even the official trailer. This is the teaser trailer.
Yes.
So this is the
trailer announcing the trailer.
And then they had the teaser announcing the teaser trailer that was announcing the trailer.
Right. And then they had the photo that was teasing the teaser trailer that was teasing it.
That's right. They had the motion poster, right? The motion poster. They have the picture that teased the motion poster,
right?
And then the motion poster teased the teaser,
yes.
Which teased the teaser trailer,
yes.
Which teased the trailer, which we haven't seen yet.
And did you see the thing that I don't know if I'm hallucinating or if it was just BS? Somebody's sharing BS, but I swear I saw something somewhere of James Gunn saying that some of the stuff in the teaser trailer isn't even in the movie.
Oh, interesting. I think I vaguely heard that too. Or actually, what I think I heard him say is that only 2 shots from the teaser trailer are in the official trailer.
In the official
something
trailer.
Like that.
Okay.
I think that was the version of what I heard. So anyhow,
maybe it was down the line. Something I read was down the line where somebody interpreted it.
Yes, right.
Like, none of this is in the movie.
The telephone game, yeah. Superman's not even in this movie.
He's not even in his own movie.
Hashtag
Guy Gardner.
Yes, it's the Guy Gardner movie. Surprise! So what I think is interesting is I think that it's going to go from... someone made an interesting prediction is that the Guy Gardner is going to end up being like Yondu, where people are going to not like him and then suddenly want him to have his own movie. Mm-hmm. And that's a possibility.
Well, you're not supposed to like him. I mean, my general impression is you're not supposed to
but they
like
might
him.
still want him to have his own movie, whether we like him or not.
I think I saw a casting, and I think he's in the Green Lantern movie.
Okay.
So he is carrying over.
Well, and then we do have Hal Jordan in this too.
Do we?
Well, supposedly. I mean,
okay.
If you read IMDb and see the names,
I was avoiding it.
All right.
But no,
I guess first spoiler. We didn't even get to season 5.
I'm out of here.
Oh no, he's getting back in the pod. Come back here. But first spoiler.
It makes sense though. I mean, if they're tying it to a bigger universe, it makes sense that others.
Yeah. So I think the Lantern Corps is somewhat represented. I don't know by how many.
Right.
But I think they needed to have...
I think they announced Guy Gardner, Hal Jordan, and Jon Stewart.
Yeah.
Were the only 3 ones that they actually announced.
And I think that I think that it's important to have some other representation of Green Lantern, because I don't know if you'd want that to be your only version of Green Lantern.
Well, you still got Simon Baz, you still got Sinestro,
yeah, but I'm just saying, like, if a new audience is just seeing this one ass as Green Lantern and they don't really understand that it's a whole force of them, it's a whole police force of shiny powered guys, right? All right. So look up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's the end of this podcast. So we're going to wrap it up for now. I guess you have anything else to say about?
I guess are we going to spoil? Are we going to save this for segment 5? Should we plug that here? Is that
Are we plugging segment 5, or are we trying to wrap it up?
5?
I thought we already plugged segment 5.
All right. Good night.
I didn't even say my outro yet.
Oh, let's say it.
I don't remember
Good
what
night.
it is. You have been listening to the Sleepless Knights podcast, or should we say pODDcast.
Podcast.
Emphasis on the odd. Our theme is by Mars Homeworld at Dead House Music. Our opening announcement is by Ophelia Necro. She does a radio show called Suicide Watch. Patreon supporters get to hear this podcast before anyone else, and a lot of other great stuff, right, Paul?
Sure.
Doesn't get it better than that, right? So come join the fun at
patreon.com/Sleepless Knights podcast.
Please stay up with us next week for another Sleepless Knights podcast. Or should we say, pODDcast.
Podcast.
The best thing about being an insomniac is never having to say goodnight.
Good night.